And this is Kim Kraetzer for CamVetsMedia. We cover cadets, midshipmen, veterans, military, and Iona basketball. And Iona's got a big game, and we're going to talk to Kevin Hamilton about it. Kevin, how are you tonight?
Very good, Ken. Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, of course, Kevin is a graduate of Iona, class of 80, played on the great Jim Valvano teams. And Kevin, Iona's won five straight. They're starting to play very good basketball. Great play from the two guards, Dennis Jenkins and Walter Clayton. And they beat a good Princeton team this week at a neutral site in New Jersey.
It was a good win for Iona. First of all, playing at a neutral site in that type of competitive game was a real challenge for Iona. It took them a while again to get going. And when shots aren't going, you can always blame it on the rims. But generally, it was a very good win for them. They had to fight their way back at the end of the contest. And a couple of key baskets, particularly by Walter Clayton Jr., really helped propel Iona to a victory that you could tell Princeton was a little stunned because they were winning most of the game and was up pretty big and just went flat out cold. So, credit to the Iona defense, and then also credit to Walter Clayton and Jenkins for hitting some big shots, along with the freshman Cruz doing a decent job early in the second half.
Yeah, Cruz Davis went in the game with about 9 minutes down in the second half. Princeton had gone up to a 10-point lead, 48 to 38. But then Cruz Davis came in, made a three, and they made consecutive 2-point jumpers, and that got Iona tied up 48 all. Of course, it was a Dennis Jenkins 3-point shot that helped in that process. But then it was Iona had to play tight. The big man for Princeton was putting a lot of pressure on Iona. That is Kelman.
Yep.
And Keyshawn Kelman, 6'9", 235, a senior. He seemed to be pushing off under the basket inside the paint against both Nelly, Junior Joseph, and the other Iona forwards. They seemed to try to make that play, but then Nelly Junior Joseph started to play and be able to handle it.
So he's a very good player, first of all. Ambidextrous, can use both hands, can score in many different ways, and yes, very physical. And what I would say is, you do what you can get away with, which is what he was doing. He was pushing and shoving, and the officials let him do it. So the Iona players, really needed to respond and, do a little bit more and get away with it if they could. So, credit to the Princeton big guy for being able to keep his team in it by playing very, very physical. The Iona bigs, again, it's the same, pretty much the same story. The nights when they're involved early, it's a good sign for Iona. The nights that they struggle to either get the ball or to, be able to score and put pressure on the other team early, then it's going to be a guard-driven game, which is what it ended up being for Iona with both Jenkins and Walter Clayton and Cruz Davis, stepping up to help propel them to the victory.
Then it's 63 all in the game. Walter Clayton got two on a drive, and I thought that was a key moment in the game, under 90 seconds to go. And then he, next possession, hit a couple of foul shots, and then Iona got a rebound and a steal under the basket that clinched the win. So some clutch play to pull off a win against a very good Princeton team, just back from winning a tournament in London.
Walter's play to the basket was critical because both Princeton and Iona turned it over a little bit, weren't able to convert. And when he made that play, actually it was a 3-point play, that was very, very key. And then after, I think it was a technical foul, Walter hit the free throws and then got fouled going to the basket again. So he was involved with, at least 7 straight points, which really, gave them someone that they could look to try to pull them across the finish line. So kudos to them, and Coach Pitino certainly was pleased with Walter's ability to play very physical and finish.
Okay, now the Gales have arrived in Albuquerque, New Mexico. They had a bit of a travel delay. Had to stay overnight in Dallas, I understand, and go out on the next day to Albuquerque. And getting set, we heard a little bit of Richard Pitino, the coach of New Mexico, Coach Rick Pitino's son, in a press conference, taking a lot of questions about his father, and he basically took the point that this is business as usual. I don't think it's going to be. I think he'll be very happy when this game is over. What are your thoughts about this matchup between Rick Pitino and his son Richard coaching New Mexico?
So no matter what either Pitino has to say, it's going to be an emotional game. Certainly for the son more so than the father. The father, has nothing to prove. But Richard going into the game, I believe 0-2 or 0-3 against his dad, playing at home, playing with an undefeated team, and probably one of the better teams he's had, in his coaching career, will want to get this victory, no doubt about it. And all that said, don't be fooled by the lovey-dovey stuff from Coach Rick Pitino. This is a big contest for him and his Iona Gaels. Basically, it's another stamp on their record that says we can play against the big boys. And, irregardless of what happens throughout the season, the people who are making decisions about NCAA should consider us. So this is one that Coach Pitino Sr. will definitely want to put in the win column for many, many reasons. Going out to Hawaii after this is not going to be easy. Long trip, cross country, kids just took finals, all that kind of stuff, and then playing a very good SMU team to start. What better way to send a message to the competition out there that, Iona's to be reckoned with than to get a really good win against a very good New Mexico team?
Absolutely, a key game. Rick Pitino said his son, I'm sure, wants to beat him by 30 points, was his comment after the Princeton game. And his son was very much, what you just said. They need a win too. They're 10-0. They're moving up in the RPI. I think they were about 35th, 36th in the AP poll. A win over a noted New York area team would move them up a few notches and perhaps getting close to top 25 standing. They've sold 11,000 tickets as of earlier this week, and they're hoping for a sellout of 15,000 at what they call the Pitt, famous basketball arena. It's older than I thought. It's built in the 1960s, and
Yep.
it hosted the NCAA tournament. Have you ever been there, Kevin?
I've been there. I have not played there, but I've been there, and it's like playing in a funnel. The fans are very close to the court. The arena goes pretty high in the air, but the noise comes straight down. It's a very, very inspiring, intense, loud place to play. And I suspect it to be a great opportunity for this Gale team to overcome those types of odds and show that, it doesn't matter where they play, that they'll be competitive. But to be competitive, I would say there's two things to really look at early in the contest, at least through the first half, that'll tell you whether Iona is going to prevail or not. Number one, their turnovers. The last couple of games, unusually, they've turned the ball over a little bit more than normal. On the road, good team, a team that can score. They're going to have to be very careful with that. And then number two, we know what we can expect from the Iona guards at this point. The question is going to be, what can they get from their front court against a good New Mexico team with some bigs that can really play? If they can get some competitive game from Nelly and Osborne, then I think they'll put themselves in a position to be competitive throughout. And then the last thing is they shouldn't expect any calls. Coach Pitino is going to have to really work the officials out there, and I'm sure he will. And the team should not expect to get any calls in that environment.
Yeah, that will be interesting. I see where the referees are from. Usually for a non-conference game, they try to go to they wouldn't take referees from are they in the Mountain West or the Western Athletic Conference?
I thought they were Mountain West.
Yeah, so did I. Um, so it'll be interesting there. That's an interesting point, and there's no one who's more a master of working with the referees or working the referees than Coach Rick Pitino. Yeah, interesting what you mentioned. Barrett Jean Louis had an 0-4 game, 0 points in the game at Princeton. He's been averaging more like 10 points a game. Osborne Chima has been playing with a lot of energy, but against a big center like he saw against Princeton, he seemed to get pushed back towards the rim. Um, and so we'll see what else Coach Pitino will come up with. Um, but it should be really a game to watch. It's a game. It could be a signature game for Iona's season if they can pull off a win. How do you feel that Jefferson is coming along, Michael Jefferson? He's been getting more time. He's up to 3 points a game, couple of rebounds, getting more minutes. How do you feel he is as one of the forwards off the bench?
Well, I think he's taking advantage of the opportunity with having Slazinski out. Um, he's someone that can come off the bench and really stroke his shot and lighten the burden for some of the other players that are shooting the ball, quite a bit. Put the other players like Jenkins, like Walter Clayton Jr. into the offense a little bit more and have another type of threat out there in Jefferson. You can tell he's really coming along with his confidence. He comes in the game and he's not afraid to play. The question is going to be is, will he be able to hang with better players as he's defending them? That's really what Coach Pitino looks for. Yeah, everybody should be able to score, but can you defend to the point that warrants keeping you on the floor? And Jefferson's a tough guy. You can see he really likes to play. He's not afraid to play physical and rebound and do those types of things. But if he gets a chance against some of the better players and they play their man to man, he's going to have to defend. So happy with his progress. And it's still early in the season for a guy like him, but certainly it's good that Iona has somebody they can count on to come off and be a contributor.
Yeah. And I guess Quinn Zelensky is still a question mark as to when he will return. Got off to a great start this year for Iona, their lead scorer. Um, and Coach Pitino seemed to hedge a little bit about when he might be available. So hopefully, we're wondering if there's a chance he'll be able to play out in Hawaii.
Don't really know. I would think if Iona can continue to win and be competitive, that their caution on the side of giving him more time to be ready for the MAC competition, the league competition, and to be ready when it comes MAC tournament time. Um, but I'm certain that he wants to play. I'm certain that Coach Pitino wants to get him back in the rotation because once he does come back, things change a little bit. Guys that are used to shooting the ball a lot, you're going to have to give up some shots. Um, Guys that are used to having plays run for them are going to have less plays run for them, and it'll be interesting to see what that dynamic look like when one of their better players come back.
Yeah. And Kevin Hamilton, always great to hear your insight. Is there any other key points you see happening in college basketball? Providence had a nice win on the road at Seton Hall today.
I think it's wide open. It's so many teams out there with an opportunity to step forward. Um, and all of these non-conference games that are going on now are a good indication for what it's going to be like when those teams can advance through, their conference tournaments, and if they're lucky to, get an at-large without advancing through their conference tournament, then you'll know who can play. There's teams out there, they're going to be, good. Teams like St. Louis that Iona beat will be good, and others. So it'll be interesting. It'll be fun, and I look forward to seeing, how things shake out.
Okay, Kevin Hamilton from the class of 1980 at Iona, an Iona legendary basketball player, and so glad to hear your insight about Iona's game, which is really going to be a neat game. It's a 6:30 start. Coach Richard Pitino was saying, it's a big deal for them to get national exposure. It will be on national television. It's on FS1 in the New York area, 6:30 start. So we're all looking forward to seeing Iona University play at the University of New Mexico, the Lobos at the Pitt. Kevin, you have a good one. We'll talk next week after the game before the start of Iona's play in the Rainbow Classic.
Sounds good, and happy holidays to everyone.
Absolutely. Happy holidays to you, Kevin. This is Ken Kraetzer for CamVetsMedia. We cover cadets, midshipmen, veterans, military, and Iona basketball. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening. Okay, all set.